Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Raptors, and today we shall be playing a game known as The Message. Now, this isn't exactly a game in a traditional sense. This is more of an interactive story, not like a choose-your-own-adventure novel. No, more like there are a set number of screens. They all have information on them, and you can read them in a branching pathway order, essentially. That's the best way I can describe it. It's something. Gonna be honest, I haven't ever got to the end of this, so I'm not entirely certain what the titular message even is. So if I don't think it's going to be a rewarding watching experience for you people, I'm not gonna put this up. So if you're listening to this right now, you best stick around, because it's going to be good. At least, I hope it is. You're not going to see it if it isn't, so let us begin. Emergency alert system. Civil authorities issued emergency action notification. We interrupt our programming. This is a national emergency. This is not a test. Important details will follow. The emergency alert system has been activated. The following message... Oh, sorry, I left my cursor on screen for a second. The following message is being transmitted at the request of the United States government. On 10 a.m. Eastern Time, there was a series of sightings of unidentified craft in orbit around the planet. These have been confirmed by our national observatories. Until further notice, you are advised to seek shelter, lock any doors, and turn off any telecommunication or internet devices. I repeat, this is not a test. And that was the emergency notification. So, our probe officially reached the Pluto-Charon system on July 14th, 2015 at 11:47 UTC. Then, only 4 hours later, just before we would have received the next data burst, a fleet of unidentified spacecraft entered low Earth orbit. It all happened so quickly. So do we find out about our probe, or we find out what happened? You know what, let's find out about our probe. New Horizons. On January 19th, 2006, they strapped, quote, a grand piano glued to a cocktail bar-sized satellite dish to the fastest rocket ever launched, and it went well. Although not as fast as Helios and never as distant as Voyager 1, this 1,000-pound rocket was going to be the first man-made spacecraft to do a relatively close flyby of various trans-Neptunian objects, most famously, of course, ex-planet Pluto and its moon, Charon. So far, its mission was a huge success. There's some good art there. I like the art. Good art. Too many years the guys at NASA had to work with those awfully blurry images Hubble gave us. New Horizons would have provided them with all the sensory data and high-resolution pictures they could hope for. That is true, actually. If you see the Hubble telescope pictures of Pluto and Charon, they are so blurry. It's obviously it's understandable given the whole fucking ages away thing, but you know. Come on. Come on. NASA needs better pictures than just that. Given the bandwidth limitations of their deep space network, it would have taken them months and months to send all that information back to Earth, but the nuclear battery on board didn't care. We think of it now as our first accidental contact. I mixed that sentence up to high hell, didn't I? We now think of it as our accidental first contact. I swapped words around and shit everywhere. It did not end well. Like me trying to read. The space stations went first. Size and location in orbit did not matter. The ISS, Taigong, Genesis 1 and 2, military and spy satellites, communication, weather, navigation, everything. Even the thousands of pieces of decommissioned satellites and junk and space debris left by 50 years of spaceflight. Everything. By the way, this is the screen you would have got to if you clicked the other link on the first page. So this is as far as I've ever got. I got to here and decided, alright, let me record this. Then every radio telescope on the planet just vanished. Then every rocket capable of escape velocity, and all nuclear warheads. And before anyone knew Earth was under attack, it was over. Technologically, mankind was suddenly back to square one of the space age, and on top of all of that, communications were gone, GPS was gone, SDI was gone. Even all that crap the Apollo missions left on the moon, as we later found out, was gone. Got to assume that includes the golf balls? I like the golf ball. And then the fleet was gone, too. But they left something behind. I'm going to assume the something refers, of course, to the titular message, so they're not going to not mention that if I click on something else first. Obviously, they're going to talk about the message at some point. A mind-bogglingly vast fleet of unidentified craft in dense enough formation to, for a moment, block out the sun, moon, and stars. It almost looked like one of those very high and thick clouds overshadowing overshadowing the sky, although very quick and only for a moment. The irony that, of all our crap out there, only one then secret spy satellite, which would from that point be known as IF-50, managed to capture a single blurry image, looking down at Earth shrouded by billions of UFOs, is almost depressing. Remember those I want to believe crackpots? Who would have thought they were actually right? Okay, so let's find out about IF-50. IF-50, an ancient, decommissioned and malfunctioning Gonna be honest with you guys, nearly said Renaissance. That is not correct. I don't think they had space travel back in the Renaissance era. Fuck it, we're just gonna go with it. An ancient, decommissioned and malfunctioning Renaissance satellite no one even knew existed anymore. You know, one of those microfilm space telescopes pointed towards Earth, which supposedly could take pictures of your license plate or even read your newspaper. In fact, the thing was probably one of the first generation of spy satellites, or at least a very primitive one. However, this type took photographs and ejected their film inside canisters, which would then descend towards Earth. That seems a bit wasteful. Surely it would burn up in the atmosphere, and if not, come on, it's a terrible design. At first, every nation denied having anything to do with that fateful capsule we found. As soon as its contents were revealed, though, everyone claimed responsibility. That's so true. Just one blurry image, yet clear enough to make out what was happening. A giant array of dark objects in orbit. The photograph mechanism must have been triggered by a collision, which in turn threw out the canister far enough to have been spared by what we now call the orbital purge of our messengers. Wouldn't have thought Renaissance technology would be destroyed. It's nowhere near high-tech enough. Of all our devices, cameras, cell phones, space telescopes, imaging technology, out of everything, it was that ancient satellite providing us with a record of what happened that day, some evidence. Besides, of course, the message. A message. The message. A message to every living thing on our pale blue dot to see in the sky forever. It was, strangely enough, written in English, although no one knew what to make of it. Some thought it was a warning, others said it was a declaration of war. Of course, the internet almost instantly went crazy over it, generating endless discussions about hidden meanings, trying to decrypt whatever could be hidden in that simple word. There were probably more theories about its meaning than there were moon conspiracy crackpots back in the 20th century. Religions formed around the message. T-shirts were printed. Bumper stickers too. People love this stuff. Okay, so far we know it is written in English and is a word. Singular. So it's one word in English, and it's a relatively simple one, so we're going to assume it's a fairly, So, given these clues, and the ones which I presume will be given in a minute, given throughout the course of this, if you manage to guess what the word is before we all find out, you can give yourself a little pat on the back. Give yourself a little pat. People love this stuff. People started tattooing the message onto their bodies, naming their children, pets, a public holiday, and even whole cities after it. Soon the message was used as a universal greeting phrase. Okay, so people were greeting each other using the message, or depending on the context and culture, to declare love or hate to one another. It turned out that people didn't care what it meant. They just invented their own meanings, used it in bedtime stories, wrote fiction and made movies and video games about it. In fact, we still don't know for sure. There are still archaeologists debating about its purpose. They're like the more fun version of archaeologists, much more enjoyable people to hang out with. And why they chose the moon for it? Well, everyone, obviously. The immediate question was obvious. Why write something on the surface of a moon? The pre-message humanity didn't know or care, but today many kids know this stuff by the time they enter elementary school. Because our moon is tidally locked. That means the same side will always face the Earth, face us, the recipients. It's the brightest object in the night sky. That giant rock is, in comparison to mankind, incredibly old. Around 4... Is that a comma or... Like, it's a comma, so 4 to 3 billion... I'm going to assume they meant 4.3, okay? 4.3 billion years. That's almost as old as the Earth itself. We'll probably never be able to remove the message. Or even if we could, we probably wouldn't, as it would be a giant waste of resources, and it would anger the many message cults, or even our mysterious messengers. Oh, that's Pluto and Charon. Pluto is about 4 light hours away from Earth. 4 hours after New Horizons reached Pluto, they arrived. For messengers. How could they possibly travel that distance? Does that mean they were capable of faster than light travel? And if so, why are they even in our solar system? Why kill our space tech? Why leave a message? Why us? The 14th of July became known as Message Day, a global holiday to remember the lives lost by crashed cars and airplanes and ships lost at sea, people stuck in elevators, all effectively lost man-hours in human spaceflight, all our little robots we sent out there never to return, frightened military leaders with access to big red buttons who snapped at the sight of the message, killing hundreds, the money lost at the completely crashed markets, lost jobs, lives ended by suicide. They thought the world was going to end. It didn't. But overnight everyone knew. We are not alone. At last a common enemy. Something to work together for. And on that day mankind lost every reason to fight each other. Message Day is a day of unity. Though in the end it saved everyone. Nothing could have prepared humanity for the message. Okay, so guys, we're going to find out what the message is right now. Nothing could have prepared humanity for this. You fucking what? Fuck. I should have known why this was classed as, like, slightly humorous, and so far it had been nothing but serious. Jesus. Butts. There's the message, children. Butts. Not even capitalized, but then again, there are aliens. You know, I'll allow that. That's a relatively simple word. Yeah, I'll give him it. Oh my god. So if you guessed that, number 1, well done, and number 2, you may or may not be actually insane. So I'd give yourself a pat on the back and then check into the nearest psychiatric hospital, because immediately thinking of the word "but" when someone says that it's in English and a simple word, and nothing could have prepared them for it, really lends itself to an insane mind. So, ladies and gentlemen, butts. The message is butts. Who created this glorious thing? The Message, written by Jeremy Loniot. I'm now overjoyed. I'm sorry. I'm slightly louder, less serious, much more comical. This is brilliant. This is absolutely fantastic. Illustrations and CSS wizardry by Dominique Johann. The Message was created with love, twine, and this excellent guide by Anna Anthropology in a couple of days for Fuck This Jam. Partially inspired by this tweet from Panic. Should we read that tweet? I don't know. It could be strong. It could be a bit. We're still going to. All right, this tweet. This is the one that inspired this game. At the center of the cosmos, there rests an ornate markstone, greeting a much-traveled visitor with a cheerful, "OP is a faggot." Yeah. Yeah, to be honest with you, yeah. Only 12 favourites, though. That is not something you imagine would spawn an entire game. Well, copy whatever 2012 to Jeremy Lonian and Dominic Johann. Let's just go back so we can finish on the glorious message. There were literally cults started around this. Bumper stick. People named their children Butts. I can't get over this. I think I'm going to name my children Butts. National holiday. Thankfully it was called Message Day and not Butts Day, which is another national holiday I intend to start. Man. I've been Raptors, this has been The Message. The Message is Butts. I'll see you next time.